Hello, my name is Dale DuFay, and welcome to the Mandela Effect equals knowledge. And that's basically what this channel's about. It's, what the Mandela Effect's revealing, because I personally think that that's the thing about the Mandela Effect. It's meant to reveal secrets that have always been, yet never known. And, first of all, I like to, you know, ask for forgiveness that I don't have comments. I know a majority of you have very positive things to say and really good questions, and I'll try to answer because there are a lot of questions that I know about and I've answered in previous channels, but this channel is going to really concentrate on that. But that can't have comments because there's too much hatred out there, and what I talk about seems to stir up a lot of hatred. And really, basically, everything this channel covers is very positive because the Mandela effect really is considered good news. Now, we don't talk about religion or be theocratic whatsoever on this channel, but the fact is the Mandela effect is highly spiritual. It's all about spirituality. And I even recall early on, like 4 years ago, when I first started looking into this phenomenon after I realized I was affected, nobody talked about the spiritual aspect about it then. It was almost like taboo. But that's why I started my own channel way back then. And, because I don't see anything negative about it or sinister about it whatsoever. I personally think, and I know, to me, everything's very obvious, and you don't have to believe me. But to me, it's very obvious. It was meant, the Mandela effect was meant to reveal things that have always been, yet never known. And it's revealing that our soul is splintered and fractured into who knows how many portions. Every portion, or most of, there may be, this is what I want to discuss in this video, but every portion is, coalesced into a replica version of yourself. And this phenomenon, the Mandela effect, the main aspect of it is the shifting part of it, where every portion of our soul is in this quantum flux, this superposition, if you will, what scientists call it. And being allowed to basically go into another replica version of yourself that has always existed. Obviously, this replica version of yourself has always been here, and it always had a portion of your soul in it. And the portion of your soul that was in this replica version of yourself in this reality that has always existed has simply moved on to another replica version of yourself, experiencing the exact same thing your portion of your soul is experiencing. You'll always have this portion of your soul. It has your memories. And that's the key thing about the Mandela effect. This is which proves it's a faith-based phenomenon. We can't prove it. It's strictly spiritual, but it's revealing remarkable things. Now, one of the things that was talked, a lot of people believed is because this is such an incredible phenomenon, who would have ever expected anything like this to happen? It's so perplexing, and I think it was meant to be perplexing and difficult, a riddle, if you will. But to me, it doesn't make me smart. I think it was my dyslexia and the way I perceive things, I always have, that allowed me to, see it for what it is. To me, it's very obvious what it's revealing. But obviously, this reality has always existed. Most of the people around you have always been in this reality. They're not experiencing the Mandela effect. That's the other perplexing thing about it. Most of the people around you still have the original soul portion they were born with. But those that are experiencing the Mandela effect are in other realities. The soul portion that we will always have till the day we leave this body and go on and whatever. That's another thing the Mandela effect's revealing. Our soul is eternal and it's ancient. But the thing that people seem to think is, because it's so incredible, is, wow, maybe we died and that's what caused this. But that's impossible because, again, your soul portion, the one you'll have the rest of your life, the forever, that has all your memories, past, present, even some memories of previous existences, which most of us don't have. We're just born with a case of amnesia, it seems like, when we're rebirthed, our soul. But we'll always have this portion of our soul. That's important to realize. When we, just because we're in another replica version of ourself, we're not blending into the soul that was in this replica version of yourself. That's impossible. They're not going to blend. They're always fractured and splintered. So, like musical chairs, when we shift, every portion of our soul is experiencing the exact same thing we are. I always like to say musical chairs, but there's no elimination. That's not to say that there isn't. There's obviously some of the replica versions of yourself, something may have happened in their family's history where you don't even exist, or your current history where something happened. Like if you ever come close to, dying for some reason, maybe some of the replica versions of yourselves in other realities did indeed perish. So, really, what happens to the soul of those replica versions of yourself that didn't exist, or something happened in your history? They simply went into that spirit realm and that reality, which proves that even the spirit realm is parallel, because everything paranormal and spiritual and dimensional is in every reality, which proves that they are parallel as well. So the interesting thing is, no, death has nothing to do with this. Not to say that it doesn't happen. I mean, look at the namesake of this phenomenon. It's perfect. Nelson Mandela. Many of you recall him perishing in prison in the 80s. I've never been in a reality where he perished in prison, but I know that happened. The namesake of this phenomenon. Millions of people recall seeing this funeral after he perished in prison. But, so what happened to, the portion of his soul that did die in prison in those realities? He just simply went into that spirit realm in limbo, where time and space mean nothing, and they're just, in that dimension still, their soul portion, whether they're in a physical replica version of him or not. But he never, he's never aware of this phenomenon, even though it was named after him. He, in realities where he was liberated from prison and was ascended to presidency of South Africa, he has no idea that he had replica versions of himself that perished in prison and other realities. But the fact is that's exactly what happened. And that's exactly what the Mandela Effect is showing us. It's important not to, to keep it, in perspective. This is all about spirituality. We have always existed in this reality. People are look at me and don't say, hey, you're different or anything. The soul portion that originated in this replica version of myself is exactly like my soul portion, the one I'll always have, the one I was born with. It's exactly the same, made the same exact decisions and everything. Of course, there's going to be variations and differences in some of our realities. But for the most part, in my case, every decision I made, every reality I made the exact same decision. And that's pretty much because I'm when I do make a decision, I don't, I'm, how do you put, I make a conscious, the more conscious you are about making a decision, the more the other replica versions of yourself will, or you're doing it because they are, just because, you have to realize that every portion of your soul is thinking, experiencing the same thing you are. They're thinking the same thing you are, or you're thinking the same thing they are, whatever. There's no there's no driving soul portion. That's what I'm trying to get at. I always liken it to a roll of film, a complete connected roll, a loop, basically. Every frame represents every reality. And as you're going through that projector, your life unfolds, basically. And it takes all these replica versions of ourselves that are sharing our soul since the day we are born to do everything, to walk, to breathe. Everything we do, everything we take for granted is because of this quantum connection, this entanglement that we have with every replica version of ourselves. Some might be slightly ahead of you in their reality. that you will catch up to. Some realities may be slightly behind you. That's what the film is perfect analogy, because every frame represents a reality. And there's some realities ahead of you at all times and some realities behind you at all times. Uh, and and that's true with every portion of your soul and every replica version of yourself. There's always going to be realities ahead and behind. And that's why we experience deja vu. It's a phenomenon that's easily explained by what the Mandela Effect is revealing. It's a phenomenon that everybody has experienced at one point in their life or another. And it's always been misunderstood. Nobody really, until the Mandela Effect comes around. Well, that explains it. If you feel like you were in that room and you never were, the reality is that you were. There's a reality ahead of you that was stepped into that room, perhaps a split second, or maybe a few minutes, or maybe even 30 minutes. Who knows how far ahead and behind our realities are? Perhaps by a great distance. That's why some can see the past and future, because they have more portions of their soul in that realm, spirit realm, where you could see all, and there's no such thing as time. Time is irrelevant. Mandela Effect is proven. Of course, it's quite obvious that it's human beings who created and invented time because of our finite existence. But the thing is the Mandela Effect is revealing that death had nothing to do. It didn't perpetrate the Mandela Effect, because if it did, this phenomenon would have been known about since the beginning of creation. In other words, because people have been dying since the beginning, you know what I mean? So it has nothing to do with it. Of course, that's not to say it doesn't happen, but it didn't instigate it. It didn't, when I left the original reality, where this portion of myself originated from, it wasn't because I died. It wasn't because that earth got destroyed, or that reality, because it's impossible. Because if it did, it would have affected all the other realities because of that quantum connection. So the reality you originated from, no doubt you're still there, but there's just another portion of your soul in it experiencing the exact same thing. That's what's incredible about the Mandela Effect. And it's as simple as that, really. As complicated as it is, you got to keep it simple. And that's another thing I always had the ability to do. I always kept things simple because I had to understand, and also somewhat laziness involved there. But it's always been an advantage for me at work and everything. And then with the Mandela Effect occurring, and getting tired of seeing what the Mandela Effect's doing as far as perceiving things that are we think are changing, but that's not the case. It's impossible. Things are not changing overnight. It's impossible. They're just simply different. Once I got tired of that, I really wanted to get into the meat and potatoes and understand what's going on here. And then it's occurred to me, and again, we don't want to be spiritual or theocratic, but it occurred to me that this phenomenon, as unexpected and as incredible as it is, it must be prophesized. And I've always wondered what Revelation chapter 10 verse 7 meant, and now we know. It's the Mandela Effect, the prophecy of the Mandela Effect that John actually saw. And in some translations, it actually says the sacred secret will be revealed as good news. Now, think about it. What could be more sacred than us human beings, even in single existence on a single earth? It's amazing enough, but to find out that it's multiple realities of multiple earths all throughout the Milky Way galaxy, all in this one dimension, makes it even more sacred. And then what has been kept secret from humanity since the beginning of creation? The fact that we do have this parallel existence on a multitude of earths. It's never been revealed before. So obviously, Revelation chapter 10 verse 7 must be referring to the Mandela Effect. So it's a very spiritual thing. And death has nothing to do with it other than, well, of course, that's not, again, it's not to say that's some realities you don't exist in because of an accident or something, but that didn't start the Mandela effect. You know what I'm saying? It's the Mandela effect was meant to occur, and it was meant to be a, you know, conundrum, if you will, and it's meant to reveal incredible things that have always existed, like the dinosaurs. They always, you know, they're in every reality. Their fossil records are in every single reality. The same dinosaurs too. Sue is a good example. The T-Rex Sue at the Field Museum of Chicago. Now that's in every single reality. So that proves that prehistory was parallel as well. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. It's something that has always been. That's what's incredible about the Mandela effect. It's revealing things that have always been yet never known. And astonishing, you know, as that is, it again, it wasn't, and why, you know, the big question too is why it's only affecting a certain percentage of the population. Again, most of the people around us, you know, to them, this reality has always existed. They're not experiencing the Mandela effect. So to them, nothing appears to have changed whatsoever. That's what makes it perplexing. I mean, sometimes we get confused, and again, that's the thing about it, is we can't understand why they're not seeing the differences or what we perceive or some perceive as changes. Again, I have always looked at it as things as being different and come to the point where I expect things to be different, even subtle things. But to everyone else around you, for the most part, it's nothing's different or changed, you know. So but yet those of us that are experiencing it can only really rely on our memory, and our memory is not false. Our memory is not gone. In fact, that was the comforting thing for me when I realized I was affected, is that millions of others are as well. So that helps realize that, yes, my memories are correct because others remember them as well. Some may have originated from other realities where things are different. You might not recall the same things per se, but for the most part, you know, we could definitely rely on our memory. Our memory is not false. It's not a memory phenomenon. This is something that's literal. It's allowing us to, you know, I mean, the reality I originated from, this portion of my soul originated from, it was 75,000 light years from here. And, you know, traveling's not necessary. This, you know, we're everywhere all the time. And the Mandela Effect's proven that. It's just allowing us to see all these other realities. And also the shifting aspect must be more important than just revealing things. It must be a phenomenon that's really doing something very special to our soul, something very powerful. That's the way I look at the Mandela Effect. This channel's pretty new. I had a previous channel, Terrors of the Milky Way, and I deleted it entirely because I was counting the realities and I felt uncomfortable about it. And I'm going to start fresh. We didn't lose any information there because the same information, nothing's changed as far as the theory. But the thing is there's so much to talk about that we can just cover it all again on this channel and then focus only on the knowledge aspect. And I know a lot of people have questions, but just hang in there. I know what those questions are, like what about residual evidence and things like that. And the beauty of the theory is it covers everything, including a very good explanation as to why we will see residual evidence. This is something we should expect, and it's the parallel existence on a multitude of Earths that really truly explains that. Why we will see that, and why we will see variations and differences, and it helps us to understand really why we humans do the things we do. It's amazing. Yeah, and then, that's the simple answer. It wasn't perpetrated by CERN or human beings or evil forces, because believe me, they don't have that kind of power. That's what helped me come to the conclusion that it's something that was meant to happen, and because only the supreme creator of the human soul, who created the supreme creation, us human beings, has the power to shift our soul throughout the galaxy, instantaneously. I'm certain it happens during REM sleep, which is another thing that is explained by the Mandela Effect and what it's revealing. REM sleep, it's essential. That's when all our soul portions are in sync. And that's obviously very important. And the Mandela Effect's revealing all these incredible things. So really, it's just a wonderful experience and phenomenon to have. We shouldn't be homesick. Obviously, we originated 75,000 light years from here, most of us. But the fact is we were always here as well. This has always been our home as well. We just never knew it. And so, of course, naturally, when we're in a different reality, we're going to be frightened and homesick when we shouldn't be. We should be, feel honored and privileged to be a part of this and stop pointing fingers and understand that this is something that was meant to happen. And apparently only to some people. It doesn't make us better people because we're experiencing it. Because again, it's difficult to explain. There's no one to talk to about it. That's the main reason I have these channels, so I can sit here and talk and babble about it, because nobody wants to hear it. Nobody wants, you can't go up to somebody and say, hey, I've seen dozens of replica versions of yourself that's been sharing your soul since you were born. And they're pretty much exactly like you and things like that, except for internal differences like the skeleton and things like that. You can't go and tell somebody, hey, your fingernails, you live in realities where your fingernails are smooth. You live in realities where you're missing a rib, and it's awesome, and things like that. You can't talk to people like that they think you're crazy. So that proves too that, again, it's a faith-based phenomenon. Because we can't prove it, and we can only rely on our memories, which are very, I remember vividly what the earth and the reality where this portion of my soul originated. I'll never forget it. And it's important not to forget it and not to be told otherwise, that you're just, your memory's gone wrong, but that's not the case at all. This is a spiritual phenomenon. It was meant to happen, and you shouldn't be homesick. You shouldn't be frightened. Of course, it's understandable. I know I was scared, like you wouldn't believe when I first realized what's going on. Or, I was very frightened. But, it's comforting to go, try to meditate or pray about it and things like that, and try to delve into the spiritual aspect of this. And then then once you do it, then all the other portions of your soul that's sharing, your experience and other replica versions of yourselves in other realities are going to feel the same way. And then once all you, if you're going to do whatever they're doing and they're doing whatever you're doing and thinking and all that, then it all makes it all better, Sure, you're still going to have the difficulties in normal life and everything and adapting in a new reality. But the thing is once you understand it, then you come to expect certain things, and it's more comforting. And then also, again, just the privilege of being a part of it. You start to feel pretty good about it because it's obviously ushering in something. This phenomenal obviously means something. It's ushering in something very, very important. And it's not, religion ain't going to have nothing to do with it. I'd like to boast that just because we're experiencing the Mandela Effect makes us, more spiritual and have more knowledge about it than the Pope. I mean, I like this. It's awesome. We know more than astrophysicists do about the universe and the Milky Way galaxy and this incredible dimension and others, and the fact that they're all parallel, than anybody that's gone to college for 8 years. I mean, think about it. They've all been taught that we have this singular reality on a singular Earth, and that we're the only little Earth on the whole Milky Way galaxy, which can handle 500 billion planets. It's just phenomenal. Wait till they find out that all those exoplanets they're discovering on a daily basis are Earths with us on them. Wait till they find that out. But anyway, we get dibs on it. We're experiencing the Mandela Effect. So I thank you for listening and watching this video, and we'll talk at you later. Love you.